Welcome back. Let's turn now to the case in Virginia. This is our spotlight, the first grader who shot his teacher. Let's look at his behavior, some very concerning things in his past before that day. Allegations of threatening a student, strangling a teacher, and inappropriately touching a female student. This child had just come off a 2-day-long suspension for violent behavior and then brought a gun back to the school. Let's dig in on those red flags, shall we? Now, what could have been done to assess the child psychologically, even at the age of 6? I want to welcome in a very special guest now to talk about this with us. She's a forensic psychologist, Dr. Leslie Dobson. Dr. Leslie, good morning. Nice to see you. Tell us what could have been done with this child, if you would, please.
It does sound like a lot was being attempted with the parents coming to school every day, but we have some very alarming warning signs of, you can't diagnose a child as a psychopath, but signs that would lead to a child becoming diagnosable in different ways that would eventually lead to a psychopathic adult. So these behaviors are extremely concerning, and there are multiple tests that could have been given to assess the violence or the likelihood that the child would engage in further violence and the severity of what it would be, like bringing a gun to school. In particular, I think about there are these 4 tests, and you can give some of them as early as age 3 years old. We have the inventory of callous and unemotional traits. We have childhood psychopathy scale that can be started at about 8 years old, but the prior one we can start around age 3 or 4. We're looking for behaviors that align with similar to adult psychopaths. We are looking at emotional responsivity. We are looking at superficial emotions, shallow affect, aggression that we saw, ongoing aggression, criminal versatility. And it is amazing that we are seeing this in a 6-year-old alone, and when he was even younger.
It really is mind-blowing in the worst way, Dr. Leslie. Tell me a little bit more about the tests that could have been done when he was younger and the first few red flags came up, like, for instance, the strangling of a teacher. How do these tests go? What kinds of things happen during them? Would you kind of bring us into the assessment room, if you would?
Definitely. So these aren't normal tests that you would do with an adult, right? A lot of these are going to be bringing in the parents, bringing in the child, and the school. And a lot are questionnaires. So we want to ask everyone similar questions. What is the child's behavior like? What is the home life like? Academic? How is the child's brain functioning? We want to bring in the pediatrician. And then we put this all together and we look at that in comparison to the behaviors that we are seeing, such as that lack of remorse, that desire to harm people, behaviors at home. And we look at all of these as red flags, and we determine proper placement for the child. And it was likely that the placement was not in the school where he was continuously harming and threatening people. Now, it's wonderful his parents were there, but this is why we have structures in place to help children away from harming other potential victims.
Exactly, Dr. Leslie. I want to ask you about something that we've been talking about in our newsroom here at Court TV Network, and that is, what kind of an adult is this child going to become if he's behaving like this at 5 and 6 years old? Kindergarten, first graders, do you think, coloring and all the fun things they get to do, hide and go seek, and then this kid is strangling a teacher, pulling up a little girl's skirt, touching her inappropriately, shooting a teacher in the classroom. What kind of a monster is he going to be later in life?
I can speak to my experience working in state psychiatric facilities and prisons and in jails. And when I work with very extreme psychopathic individuals, many I look back and I see around the age of 3 to 5, they have mutilated animals, they have strangled people, they have harmed their family, they have even ended lives. And so what worries me is that if we don't get proper care for this child and we don't give him everything that we can possibly give him, that he is going to continue along. What we would normally see are ongoing childhood diagnoses. So we would see oppositional defiant disorder coming into play, conduct disorder. The mother's already stated that ADHD was a part of this child. We need more treatment so that it doesn't fully turn into antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and the combination of those two with a criminal history tends to load very heavily on what we call the PCLR, the adult psychopathy checklist. And those individuals, as we know, are the most dangerous individuals we have in the world.
Most definitely, Dr. Leslie. This child is doomed if he doesn't straighten up and doesn't get the help he needs. I want to play a clip for you, please. This is from victim Abby Zwerner. So she's the school teacher, as you know, who was shot by this young man. Let's take a look.
And what is the last thing you remember that day at the school?
The last thing I remember at the school, obvious, I thought I was dying. I thought I had died. I thought I was either on my way to heaven or in heaven, but then it all got black, and so I then thought I wasn't going there.
Oh, Abby Zwerner's testimony, so hard to hear, Dr. Leslie, as you know, and she testified to being in trauma therapy. I would imagine she's going to be in it for a long, long time. How about this 6-year-old? Can psychotherapy help him, in your opinion, at this point in time?
I wouldn't say talk therapy or what we would consider normal therapy, but play therapy has been deemed beneficial. Changes to the environmental situation, altering what authority figures are around the child, enhancing the consequences around the child, an extremely structured environment with both rewards and consequences, because at this age, the child will respond more to rewards, and it will shift then to responding more to consequences. So it will need to be, all hands on deck. It will take a village. We can't take our eyes off. And one thing that I fear the most, that I see the most often, is learned helplessness. This child, we're going to forget about him. He's not going to get any better. This is what he'll do. Okay, maybe he won't do anything more. We'll leave him like how he is. No, they usually progress once everyone around them has given up onto committing mass murders, on to causing utter chaos in this world. And so I hope all hands are on deck, and I hope they maintain on deck. And if it means the child is better off in prison because of the containment, so be it.
That's exactly right. Fascinating insight that you've shared with us this morning. Dr. Leslie Dobson, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. It's been a pleasure having you on Opening Statement.